Welcome to the first part of the series My Plasma CNC System Step by Step. In this part, I will explain how to start the controller, connect the motors and switches or sensors. Step 1. Download and install My Plasma CNC software marked as stable version. The link to the official version is in the description. At the time of posting this video, version 1.0.9a prevails. Do not connect the controller to the computer before installing the software. The checkbox "Install USB drivers" must be checked. When you run the software for the first time, select the language and the system in which the system will work, metric or imperial. In the upper right corner, you can see the current connection status with the controller. In this case, the device is not connected. I assume that this is the first run with the default software settings. If you have previously tested with the software and modified various settings, there might be an inconsistency of my description with what is happening to you. I recommend restoring the software to default settings in the Configuration tab Program. Connect the Plasma interface module to controller and the 24V DC power supply. If the cable connecting the modules is longer than 0.3 meters, it should be shielded. Connect the shield of the cable to the minus terminal on the CNC controller side only. If the communication between the modules is correct, the control LEDs will blink steadily every 1 second. Connect USB cable, wait some seconds, and reset the communication. In case of incompatibility, the software will inform about need to upgrade the firmware version. If you agree, the controller's firmware will be upgraded automatically. Program and controller will be restarted. If the versions are compatible, the communication will be established. If you are not going to use Plasma interface, then it should be disabled in the configuration. For this purpose, in the Electronics tab, uncheck Enabled Plasma interface. Otherwise, an error, Plasma interface error, will be displayed, which will prevent the system from working. If everything works correctly, you can go to the connecting stepper motors. Connecting standard stepper drivers is easy. Just connect the appropriate signals together according to the instruction manual, for example, their plus to their plus, their minus to their minus, etc. If wires are longer than 20 centimeters, they should be twisted in pairs to eliminate the influence of interference. Normally, enabled control signals should not be connected. Motor and power supply should be connected according to stepper driver instructions. The higher the supply voltage to the controllers, the better dynamic performance can be achieved. However, do not go near the maximum voltage specified by the motor driver manufacturer, as it may damage to the motor driver. If, like me, for motors powering you use a transformer with a rectifier circuit, the output voltage will be much higher than the alternating transformer voltage. Before connecting to the motor drivers, make sure that it does not exceed the permissible voltage. The wire pairs of each coil can be easily found with a multimeter. Or you can find pair of wires by shorting them. Then the motor reacts with the significant resistance. According to the stepper motor instruction manual, set the right current to your motors, usually by DIP switches according to the table. If the driver has a function to reduce the idle current, it's a good idea to use it. It will reduce the heating of motors and drivers when the machine is not working. For testing purposes on a bench, the step division setting doesn't matter much. I have set it to 3200. If you plan to use a second motor in the machine for the X or Y axis, connect it to the fourth output. And in the program, select its destination. In this example, the two motors will be on the Y-axis. If everything is connected correctly, switch the power on. The motors should be blocked. Start MyBlazma CNC software or restart the communication if software was running. Blue arrows control the X and Y motors. Green arrows control the vertical Z-axis. You can also use the keyboard arrows for the X-Y axis and the page up, page down keys for the Z-axis. By holding down the Shift key, the motor will spin faster. You can also run simulation of cutting by clicking the Start button while holding down the Shift key. Next step is to connect the sensors, switches and check for proper operation. All inputs can accept signals from mechanical switches as well as from NPN-type inductive sensors. The controller does not support sensors with PNP-type output. When a mechanical switch is connected, the input is activated when the input is shorted to minus. The switch's contacts must be connected between the center and right terminals of the input plug. The mechanical switch's contacts cannot be connected to the plus terminal of the controller. When connecting an NPN inductive sensor, you need to check in its manual which wires are power and which are signal wires. Usually brown is plus, blue is minus, and black is the output signal, but this is not the rule, and you should make sure because incorrect connection may damage the sensor. Input activation is indicated by the controller's input light. It is also shown in the Configuration tab Electronica, where it is possible to reverse input activation for sensors and switches of type NC, normal, closed. The controls in the software should light up red when a sensor switch is tripped. Despite the fact that the system can work without homing switches, I recommend to use them, because they enable precise and automatic basing of the machine to the reference point, which in case of a failure during the work, for example, power break enables precise restoration of the coordinates and thus precise completion of the started work. Another advantage of using sensors in the protection of the machine against moving out of the range of access in the case of incorrect operation or configuration. When one axis is driven by two motors, the separate home switches allow the machine's gantry bevel to be eliminated automatically. That's all in the first part. I invite you to the next one.